Hello and welcome. ETEducation and Coursera present to you Advancing Higher Education from Curriculum to Careers. Through the course of this panel discussion with my esteemed panelists of the day, we will be discussing how there is a shift in learning when it comes to higher education, shifting learner expectations when you have changing workforce demands, the adoption of technology, and what this means for students of today who will be employees of tomorrow and leaders of the world very soon in the future. So join me in welcoming our panelists of the day, extending a very hearty welcome to Meghdut RoyChowdhury, who's the Executive Director of Techno India Group. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And next up, we have with us Guha Mallick, who's the Vice Chairman, Supreme Knowledge Foundation Group of Institutions. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. And next up, we have Prashasti Rastogi, the Director, Coursera for Campus. Welcome, Prashasti.
Happy to be here.
Super. And last up, but definitely not the least, of course, we have Dr. Satyajit Chakrabarti, who is the Director and Pro Vice Chancellor of IEM, that's Institute of Engineering and Management.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Again, a very warm welcome to all our panelists and thanks for your valuable time. Now, without any further ado, let me dive into my first question. We have vast changes taking place in education today. There's a shift when it comes to learning from a theatre style learning to a collaborative style. When it comes to the biggest trends that you're observing in education, be it the introduction or the growth of online learning for credit, or whether it is AI or personalized learning, what do you think is the biggest emerging trend in education today, and what do you think is going to shape the future?
I really believe that we need to be listening to the students more, because at the end of the day, sometimes as universities or as groups of educators, we lose track on who's important or what's important. And I think there's perhaps nothing more important than the students. And it's good, I think, more and more the younger generation of leaders that come into education, the easier it will be for them to create educational content or pedagogy which will be relevant for younger generations. Because at the end of the day, they're our main customers, right? It's the young people who are coming into our classrooms and trusting us. Their parents are trusting us with the education that we provide in our institutions. So, of course, being part of the largest education group here, we have about 100,000 students across our campuses in 8 states of India. And we're catering to students, not just who are ones who are different in their ages. So we have, of course, kids' schools to higher ed and universities, but we're also dealing with a very different batch of students when it comes to city universities or colleges versus ones in very remote villages or small towns, tier 3, 4 plus towns that we have. And the way that education is consumed at that in those areas is very different. So one of the things that I have been particularly pushing forward is trying and understanding our students a little bit better, and even with very simple things. I'll give you an example. Let's say I have a sister who's 10 years younger than me, and the generation that she's coming from is actually the generation of most of the students that we are delivering to right now. Now, they speak a completely different language. If I look at my conversations with my sister, we speak in memes. And a lot of the time, and most of the content that you see on on traditional media, like news channels, for example, is dying out. And more people are talking in modern pop culture languages, like using memes. Most of the marketing that's happening, let's say right now, if you want to have hook marketing, even if you look at a Mumbai police or a Bangalore police, you'll see these extremely smart, witty meme content that comes out, and suddenly the message gets spread out in the most satisfying way. Now, let's take that example and take it to education. I believe that if we have to continue being relevant, universities have to continue being relevant in the future, then we have to also transform our classrooms in perhaps very disruptive ways which our predecessors might not even have thought about. We're actually starting the School for Memes right now. That's one of the things that we're doing for my next year.
School for Memes.
A School for Memes. The school for creators who are going to be making memes. And we are trying out a couple of smaller segments right now. And we did one in Bangalore right now. And we have a batch of 30 students already. These are creatorpreneurs, like creators who are basically becoming excellent at, becoming sort of entrepreneurs who make memes for a living. And this is, again, a small example. Not every kid in your classroom is going to be learning the same way, but being open to the idea of disruption and speaking the language of the ones that we are serving, I feel are going to be the two biggest trends. Now, underlying trends continue. So I think that we should not be only doing education based on trends of today. We should, as educators, I feel this, and I'll finish with this, I feel like it's our social responsibility as educators to try and track the trends of the future. I think educators need to be futurists. We need to look at what trends could be disrupting the world 5, 10, 15 years down the line, and then build those back into our curriculum. So tomorrow, when our students have to go out into the workforce and build their own companies or work at whatever the biggest companies in the world are going to be giving them employment, they don't feel lost. They feel like the institution that I went to didn't give me the necessary tools to deal with that.
Okay, that was a very engrossing answer indeed. And that was a great note you ended it on. Speak the language of today, but also prepare them for tomorrow. Fantastic. Shamu, how would you like to respond to that?
Yes, so I think if we are for some time hearing this concept called Industry 4.0. So what's that? That's more of a concept wherein the mostly the manufacturing industries are looking at producing much more volumes for the world, because it's a fast moving world and we need much more in terms of productions and all. So for those, the industries are looking at two things. Firstly, automation and data exchange. So when it's automation or data exchange, the advanced technologies that we are having to deal with right now is cloud computing. There will be IoT. There will be cognitive computing, or these cyber systems. So if you're looking into all of these and also the data part, so what I feel is that in the upcoming days, if any student or any individual are able to cope up with these particular technologies and also particularly working on data, howsoever, whether you are fetching data or you are analyzing those data or you are able to take certain decisions and move on as per those data, I think a student or an individual is secure. So the better you're able to support data and imbibe those in today's world, or I'll say in the work environment, the more and apart from the domain expertise, of course, if a student is able to be more, or I'll say again, any individual, mostly freshers, of course, they are starting their journey. So if they are flexible, they have the agility for learning further, and they're also adaptable. So I think one is secured in life, and as I think my friend Meghdut was saying, that for the future these students are secured. So these basic aptitude and in the areas once students, or I think all are I think the education fraternity, mostly the higher education, and in fact the schools also, if you're slowly trying to imbibe these particular technologies in smaller forms based on the levels, and of course if a student is made to understand the importance of data, then I think education is very secure and students are also ready for the future, as we are moving on in a fast-paced, I think, industry.
Now, with vast amount of data available to everybody, looking at the democratization of data, it's definitely essential that students ask the right questions and they know how to use the data in the right manner. So you're absolutely on point there. Prashasti?
Coursera co-founder Dr. Andrew Ng, who's also an AI expert of the world, he said in 2016, AI is the new electricity. Cal Newport, who is one of the behavioral scientists and has written this very famous bestseller called Deep Work, says the future belongs to the people who can interpret any form of data and solve problems using technology. Sam Altman, the man behind OpenAI, said, if I were a university educator today, I would re-look at the entire student learning cycle and plug in AI in every process so that the student's life cycle completely changes with the power of AI. I think what we have established here is, in the future of learning and in the future of work, the most powerful trend right now is mass application of AI, which needs AI skill development. It needs deployment of AI in educational processes, and it also needs AI applications to be developed to further the goal of education. I mean, that's my perspective as an observer of higher education.
Well, absolutely. We need AI, we need updated AI tools that can help us educate our students for tomorrow. Like he was saying, we need to be prepared for what's coming, not just next year, but 10 years down the line. So, absolutely. We need a futuristic outlook. How would you like to respond to that, Dr. Satyajit?
I was listening to some of the responses, very interesting. I agree with most of them. But my take on the current trends is a little different. My take on the current trends is, of course, AI and Gen AI are completely doing a game-changing kind of way of teaching learning system. And we are teaching it, IM being a leading institute, NIRF ranked university, in Eastern India, and we are seeing the fruits by way of placement. Students are getting Microsoft and all those job offers, Google 40 lakh plus placements, and the reason is because we are teaching an entrepreneurial form of teaching learning, right? So, and number two is thinking out of the box. So the current rote memorization or the cookie cutter solutions, they don't work. So, students need to adapt to uncertainties. Like they say it's a VUCA world, right? So, uncertainty and chaos, it's a very chaotic world, ambiguous world. So, constantly by exposing students to an entrepreneurial form of learning, by way of curriculum and by way of project work, by way of trying to sell. So, this is, I think, a trend that's definitely given results, especially in our group. It has given very good results. Second is use of AI and Gen AI, and not only for the prompt engineering part or the user part, but also the model development part. We have very high-end GPUs from NVIDIA, which we give to the students. The students continuously train AI models, come up with AI apps, build AI solutions. And that, I think, is a game changer, because when they go for campus placements or when they bring out a solution as a startup and pitch to the investors, it's far more convincing when they go through that cycle. So, of course, AI and Gen AI are the trends here. Entrepreneurial way of teaching learning, thinking out of the box, continuously facing uncertain problems like open book exams. And even let students use Gen AI in education, but have a robust system in place wherein the plagiarism checking is in place. Using AI can be detected. So these things, I think, I've been in the Coursera's global conference in Las Vegas, and I was the only one from India representing India in that one. And these things are there in the international level as well, what I'm trying to say. So we are bringing those international best practices here in India, and it is giving very good results, I can say that.
It's no stranger to the education system here. We've always had distance learning, but online learning has quickly seeped into all educational institutions, especially propelled by the pandemic, where a lot of universities were offering a global educational content to their students. Now, that really does help bridge the skill gap between students and the industry. And how are you on your own side building curricula that stays agile and adapts to the evolving needs of the industry? Souma, would you like to address that?
Yes, I think when we are going for online education, there are different areas to it. Of course, in COVID, we found that we were into traditional form of teaching, wherein like classroom teaching and all. But COVID taught us that beyond classrooms also, we can impart our education to the students, even including, I think, certain the lab parts also. However, like once COVID is over, again, we all are back to the campus. We are starting again with the physical mode of studies. But what happened, just last week, we found out, one of our faculties has gone through a bad illness. So she can't be in the campus, or she can't be even coming out of bed for a month or more. So and yes, she was an important faculty for the students, and the students simply can't stay back at their homes and do this online learning, because the curriculum is there. We are under an university, we have to follow that curriculum as well. So thanks to these technologies, we are able to set up, like, the students will be in the classroom while the teacher can teach from her bed, because she's in bed rest. So from the bed she would be teaching, and also that too, we are able to set up inside a lab where they would be working on their computers, and the teacher can monitor. So thanks to these technologies that we are incorporating these in our campuses, and we are able to continue with the teaching part.
Absolutely.
And
Technology has definitely become an enabler.
absolutely,
for sure.
absolutely. So online learning also enable experts, or I'll say certain professors from across the globe. So we have many experts, like in certain technologies where India might not be yet equipped with. So we are having them also attending our students within the in the campus itself. The students are there, and he or she might be from another part of the world. And there's an interactive session as well. We are conducting short-term courses. So yes, online education has come up in a big way. So it has really helped us, and there's no break in studies. So yes, it's really important these days. And
Super. How is helping your students broaden their horizons?
So what we have seen is that online education, caselets, cases, case studies from Harvard Business School online, all these things have really done a good deal to the students, that they are really performing better than their peers in other countries or other states. We continuously expose our students to international level, national and state level competitions, and these teaching learning methods, like 24 hours teaching learning method from online courses, they have really given an edge to our students who have performed better in their campus interviews or in the competitions, right? Like recently we sent a delegation to the World Robotics Championship in Japan, and they got the top 3. We 2 days before, they got the AICT All India Championship Inventors Award. Then parallelly they won the NIT National Award, because this teaching learning, 24 hours teaching learning, to a very motivated student, it goes a long way, right? So that I think all institutions are wholeheartedly adopting it. Especially the pandemic, I think, has brought the whole world 10 years into the future, right? Has pushed it and adopted technology. And no more there is a debate that should the rich countries do it or poor countries do it. Now everybody understands it's ubiquitous. It's a kind of a democratized teaching learning system to the hands of anybody who can have a smartphone, or anybody who can go to a cyber cafe can just access world-class education.
Technology has definitely been democratized. Are you feeling the effects of that on your student as well, Meghdut?
Yes, I mean, during COVID, I think thanks to Coursera, a whole bunch of our students entered the online platforms for the first time. But I think I want to go even deeper into that, because for the first time, perhaps we realized that we might have overestimated our abilities to convert our classrooms into online classrooms. And because it was also not just classrooms, they had to suddenly, access these networks and the course content from their homes. And especially when you're dealing with lots of students who come from, again, tier 3, 4, 5 towns, they don't have access to the same, they did not, at least at that time, did not have access to the same kind of internet connection. They also did not have access to the same amount of data. For example, it's easy to say, hey, we all our classrooms are online, or our programs are being delivered online, or we have access to Coursera. But if as a receiver, your students do not have access to all of those things, it's going to be difficult. Plus, it's also not just for higher ed, like, because I deal with a whole bunch of students who are coming from schools, for example, as well. This was one of the bigger problems we were facing in some of our schools in the district towns, which is, you know what, good, you guys are able to support all of your college students and your universities, but what about us? We are still facing the same problems. We have a whole bunch of data and content, but we are not able to give access to them, to the students for those. So that, I think, ended up becoming a huge metric of innovation for us. Like, we went back to the drawing board, and also as chief innovation officer of the group, this became sort of my responsibility. How do we solve this problem without, you know, sort of cowering under it? And we also at this time built out a couple of platforms which in-house we were able to deal with school education in mass. These solutions are still running across a whole bunch of government schools across, I think, 6 or 7 states in India now, and about 200,000 kids being adopted every year, even now after COVID has gone a whole time back. And it's this very B2B, like, we don't end up selling as a B2C platform. We just go to the schools and we say, hey, you know what, this is a solution we have. You can take your entire stack and put it on the internet and make it easily accessible.
Definitely. Now, as we look to the future of learning, Gen AI has the potential to transform both learning and teaching, right? As educators here and as a service provider, how do you see Gen AI helping students, be it in personalized learning tracks or customizing learning, but also how do you see faculty deploying this AI to serve students better?
I have been facing a really interesting conundrum here, and again, back to wearing my hat as innovation officer. We built out a tool in the last 6 months where it's called Techno AI, and the idea of this tool, it's not out in the market yet. We're in a beta stage, but we are launching it for all institutions across the world. The idea would be that, even because most of AI is happening through prompting, right? And prompt engineering itself is a tough thing to learn. Like, you can get very good at it fast, but a lot of people don't want to put in the effort. And there's no real solution for how do you use AI to make your job as a student easier, or how do you use AI to make your job as a teacher easier. It does not really exist in a platform format. So now we've built out Techno AI as a wrapper, which sits on top of all the LLMs at the back. So within it, you can access Claude by Anthropic, or you can access OpenAI's ChatGPT or Gemini. And the wrapper in front basically gives you access to, say, tools like, okay, it's an email wizard or a video wizard, or say, for example, for a teacher, you want to create a course content, and your classes are starting tomorrow, and sort of what you want to teach, but you want it in a PDF form with sections, with the number of classes, number of hours, credits all built into it. And this wrapper sort of helps you drag and drop with the LLMs at the back, and it gives you the personalized course curriculum, or it gives you the end result, which could be a video or an interview or something that you need for your classroom. And I'm really excited about, I think, the potential this has for students and teachers. I would love to send out a demo to my fellow educators who are here on this panel, because I've been using it massively in my own work, and I think it's been great fun sort of co-building stuff with an AI, because normally when I'm on an AI platform and I'm chatting, it's still hard to sort of position myself, in a way that you were talking about too much information being available in the world. I think the Gen AI platforms are also a lot of information. You have to still wade through information. Here it's just simple drag and drop, click, and you have an end result on it.
Okay, that's very intriguing, and I'd love to try that out as well.
Techno
looking
AI,
forward
I'm
to
sending
that.
it out to you as a demo credential right after this.
Amazing. Okay, now something to look forward to. All right, Shomu, how would you like to respond to that?
So, firstly, we are, till even now also the chalk and board form of teaching is there, but I think it's soon at the verge of extinction, to be very honest. So, even like anyone whom we are seeing of today's generation, and maybe a few generations back, suppose we are going to YouTube. These platforms, we are seeing that they are running on shorter formats of video contents. So we are seeing like Instagram and these reels are there. So no more people, even myself, I don't have the I have time, but I might not have that patience to watch longer format of videos. So similarly, we are seeing these also within the students. They have a very shorter span within the classroom. So, they'll come a little bit, there'll be a sharp peak in the attention span, they'll listen and flat down. So in such cases, we as educators and teachers should imbibe, such tools like the Gen AI tools to make their contents more interactive and interesting. So it should be kind of more aesthetically presented. Gen AI can not only give this codes or just good texts, but it can come out with impressive photorealistic images, videos, and even voices. So suppose if I'm trying to teach like how you're sending one wave and into a system and how it can come out as. So, a student, I'm just teaching, see, this is the system, this blah, 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 these things, which is fine. But they are not able to always realize. We might not have those bigger systems also within our labs, which are there in the commercial or the industries. So if we are able to, if our teachers can include, which one of our teachers have done it actually. So he used that AI and could animate and present that to the students. And it was a fabulous session. And usually when, certain students were not much hooked to within the class, they were also so, attentive within the class. So these powerful tools which are coming up, I think, is not just like the industries or not just the students in their own work should be using it, but as educators and teachers at any levels, mostly I think the kids in the schools also should be using these platforms so that, earlier, like we used to be bored of black and white textbooks, more colorful, we were like, yeah, I'll study this. Similarly for, these lectures also should be presented in, such ways, and everyone should imbibe these things. There shouldn't be any threat, because I'm not a coder. How will I suddenly generate codes on AI? Only a coder will be able to generate codes on AI and can make bigger, I think, programs.
Right. And Prashasti, how do you view Gen AI? He said definitely not a threat, and how I'm sure you guys see it as an enabler.
One of the educators I met today, he said faculty is under immense pressure because classrooms are like a performance theater, right? You have to ensure that while you're delivering the content that needs to arrive at a learning outcome, you're also able to engage this really low attention span, micro learning sort of a beast that is a learner of today, right? So therefore, a faculty has to lean on two things. One is the learning is collaborative. Second thing is learning is hyper-personal. All of that cannot be done by a human being that the faculty is. For that, you need models like AI. At Coursera, to make it collaborative, we gave faculty a tool called Course Builder. Course Builder is just a couple of text prompts and the entire Coursera library puts together a course for you. And the beauty of that Course Builder is you can also invite guest faculty with their lectures and videos to collaborate. You can put your own content. And it's a very hyper-personalized course that you can develop. And what you did practically in 5 to 6 days by revisiting curriculums, researching, you could do it within 45 minutes. Such is the power of AI. And because it's deep-seated in the Coursera platform, it's not scouring the internet, so there's no misinformation happening.
And there's no hallucination.
There's no hallucination. Second piece, to make it hyper-personal, we gave students a virtual tutor. We call it the AI coach. If I'm learning a lesson and I want to ask questions to the tutor, I can ask those questions. The tutor will respond from the validated content that sits on Coursera. I can also ask for simpler examples of the topic that I'm learning. I can also ask, what careers can I build by gaining these skills? And will you build me a learning path that allows me to learn those skills, right? So that's hyper-personalization in one way. Third piece that we are doing is we understand that AI is also influencing a little bit of a plagiarism because students are copying content. So something that we've built is AI Viva, and it is multimodal. So if a student is submitting an assignment, the faculty can enable AI Viva to actually ask student questions from the content that the student has submitted to ensure that the student is authenticated in their learning outcomes. So at Coursera, we felt that AI has simplified the entire hyper-personalization and collaborative experience incredibly, and at a much affordable cost than it would have taken earlier.
And that's an interesting three-pronged approach that you have at Coursera currently. Sir, how are you harnessing the power of AI?
We have our proprietary platform also, but we are also heavily using Coursera. Secondly, I would say that we have focused a user perspective, but more from a creator developer perspective. We have put in high-end NVIDIA based GPUs where students are actually developing new AI models. They are training new models, they're coming up with hundreds of new applications, new startups where they are using that to provide solutions to the industry. So this approach has been a game changer for our students. Next point I'd like to say that regarding plagiarism, so we have incorporated plagiarism checking into all their assignment submissions, so that while we encourage using Gen AI and AI for learning, we do not encourage that the natural intelligence is the best, right? Thinking out of the box, so that is not hampered by using Gen AI. Is checked by those checking systems in place where they have to go through plagiarism checking before submitting an assignment. And the next point is, I think the industry has changed the way it tests students. Previously, in the coding tests, they used to give simple coding, assignments. But now they give a Gen AI generated solution and tell the student that you have to adapt it, you have to change it to a solution that fits the client. So we have incorporated that in our teaching learning. We give students in the labs, we give them AI generated code, and we tell them to change it according to the problem statement. So this way of using AI, but not making the developer irrelevant, but to adopt the AI generated code to the industry required code or the solution, that has been a game changer in the teaching learning methodology that we follow at IEM.
It's great to see that educators such as yourself are so proactive in embracing change and equipping students to go into the future with the tools of today and tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us in this invigorating panel discussion, and thank you so much for watching today. And remember to stay tuned to our Coursera series to know about all the advancements in higher education.